Granblue Fantasy Versus is a new 2D fighter that uses the graphic style made famous in Guilty Gear Xrd and Dragon Ball FighterZ. As a franchise, the name Granblue Fantasy has a decidedly different origin outside of fighting games. Granblue Fantasy is an extremely popular mobile game based out of Japan. It's been around for years and is one of the oldest gacha-style games going. Cygames, the series creators, has been trying to push Granblue Fantasy in the West, and they are doing that with two titles, Granblue Fantasy Relink and Granblue Fantasy Versus. Thankfully, Cygames picked the right developer to work with for their fighter, as Arc System Works is on fire lately with all of their games, and that holds true here in a big way. So many fighting games have things like sparking, X Factor, crushing blows, burst. So many fighters are built with combat mechanics or gameplay systems outside of the fighting engine itself that try to influence how a fight's going to play out. Granblue Fantasy has its own quirks, but none of them feel like a gimmick. They are mostly related to the core combat itself. Novices can mash auto combos, while more seasoned fighters will take to the game's Link-style system that resembles Street Fighter more than anything else. The game also has a unique take on assist attacks. Each character has a handful of special moves that can be performed with one simple input or by using traditional motion. The twist here is that the one-button special moves will cause a cooldown, much like a spell in an RPG. However, inputting the special move on your own will have far less of a time to wait between specials. EX moves, which are in every fighting game, take advantage of this in an interesting way. Instead of using any meter like most fighting games, EX moves will trigger a very long cooldown for the associated special attack. It doesn't matter if you do the easy input versus the technical command, EX moves will take that move off the books for some precious seconds. These systems go hand in hand with the rest of the game's combat system. Granblue Versus may be anime, but not in any traditional way. This game doesn't feature insane juggles, 50-hit air combos, or team mechanics. It's a very grounded, focused combat system with an emphasis on spacing, patience, and knowing when to use the right attack. Defensively, you also have a just defend and a block button if holding back isn't enough for you. While holding block, you also have two different defensive options, a forward roll and then a Smash Bros. Style side dodge. It all adds up to a great, fundamental feeling game that, despite the insane visuals and stylish super attacks, is very easy to follow and even easier to pick up and play. The small launch roster also has some pretty good variety as well. It is on the smaller side with 11 characters, and the game already has an extensive post-launch plan in place to add a lot more fighters to the base game. Now, this may normally come across as a problem or greedy, but honestly, Granblue Versus has gone for quality over quantity approach, and it's something to acknowledge, but it isn't a deal breaker. Command training and a mission mode explaining the game's mechanics go hand in hand with the standard training mode suite of options you'd expect out of any modern fighter. The standout feature here is absolutely the RPG mode. The RPG quest mode pays tribute to the franchise by basically copying the ebb and flow of the mobile game. It follows a story that will have players moving across different islands, hopping from node to node to get through the overarching plot. Missions range from the standard one-on-one fights to side-scrolling beat-em-ups and huge screen-filling boss fights. Even better, the entire mode can be played in local co-op. Boss and raid fights are also available to play with online co-op, and once you beat the campaign the first time, a hard mode opens up with even more missions to tackle with your friends. On top of that, the game features a pretty deep weapon grid system which allows for leveling up and skill allocation. A Tower of Babel also opens up with even further challenges. This mode is single-handedly one of the best modes a fighter has introduced in years. The mission structure allows for some freedom and depth beyond any other fighter out there. The online is unfortunately the typical Arc System suite so far. Delay-based netcode, chibi avatars, and no way to just directly invite a friend to fight quickly. The matchmaking is also slow, and unfortunately for how the game innovates once again, the online feature set is stale and merely average. Now, I've had some great fights online with my friends, but they live nearby. As soon as the distance starts to creep up, the latency gets worse and the whole experience becomes frustrating. This is a problem that many fighting games are suffering from lately, especially out of Japan. I wonder when the vast majority of them will finally embrace proper netcode, and even more so than that, modernize how the basic online functionality works at a system level. Visually, Granblue Fantasy Versus is a marvel to take in. Great character models and detailed backgrounds take a backseat to these fantastic special moves and super arcs. Arc System Works also does a great job of bringing the mobile game to life, replacing the chibi fighters with fantastic interpretations of the entire cast. All in all, Granblue Fantasy Versus was one of my favorite new fighting games in years, whether it's leveling up and fighting bosses in the RPG mode, or hitting rematch for hours on end. This game has that just one more fight addictive quality to it. The visuals, combat systems, art style, and depth really work together to create something wholly unique and fun to play. It's an easy game to pick up and an even easier one to recommend. I give Granblue Fantasy Versus a 9.1 out of 10. It is definitely the best game of 2020 so far, and I cannot stop playing it. It is a ton of fun. I hope everyone enjoyed my review. I will be doing a huge giveaway for this title on my Twitter and Twitch page, so make sure you check all that out. Also here on YouTube. So I just want to thank all you guys. I hope everyone enjoys themselves and check out Granblue Fantasy.